80. Number 15, Creighton, 96-70 winners over Fairleigh Dickinson. Number 17, Indiana beat Eastern Illinois 90-55. The Lions rallied with 19 points in the second half to beat the Texans 26-23 on Sunday. Jake Bates kicked a 52-yard field goal at the buzzer to win it as Detroit overcame 5 interceptions thrown by quarterback Jared Goff. The Lions improved to 8-1 overall, 5-0 away from home, while the Texans dropped their first game of the season at their home field. They're 6-4 with the loss. Goff finished 15 of 30 passing for 240 yards and a pair of touchdowns. It was the 7th consecutive win of the season for the Lions, who sit on top of the NFC North ahead of the Vikings.
Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Shop early, save big all month long during Black Friday build-up at Lowe's. Right now, get select pre-lit artificial Christmas trees starting at just $59.98. Don't wait to save. Shop these deals today, in-store or online, because Lowe's knows deals. Discount taken at time of purchase while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
After you use Bounce Dryer sheets and realize how fresh, soft, less wrinkled, and less staticky your laundry can be, you'll every time. Like those socks that smell like they've been through a marathon. Or that blanket that's got wrinkles on its wrinkles. Maybe even your chatty coworker who keeps distracting you. Okay, Bounce Dryer sheets can't do it all. But for fresher, softer, better laundry,
Get sports gaming strategies and information 24 hours a day,
7 days a week.
Everything you need to get the winning edge right here.
No wonder the wife says you need to spend more time with the kids.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The only place in football where the offense is always on the field is on Moneyline. With the two best hosts in radio, Donnie Rightside.
If anybody wasn't watching, listen, I don't know what you were doing.
And Kevin Walsh.
Forget act like you've been there before.
On the SportsGrid Radio Network, SiriusXM Channel 159.
Oh, the hot takes. Get ready for them today, people. It's the best hour every day. It's officially underway. It's Moneyline Radio on the SportsGrid Network, SiriusXM Channel 159. Danny Rightside along with Kevin Walsh. And again, the topics will be flowing. We have a good Monday Night Football game tonight. Is Tyreek Hill playing? Is he not playing? Is he playing coy? Is that wrist injury really a problem? Is Jalen Waddle, who stunk the last 3 games, going to step up to the plate tonight? Are the Rams a factor in the NFC West? And then there's the New York Jets, Kevin. Let's get started. Let's go.
Yeah, I imagine the New York Jets are in the crosshairs in a major way for both you and Joe Lisi due to the fact that they destroyed the best bets for you guys. I, for the second time this year, have had something involving the Eagles where they were too good in order for me to win my bet with that over yesterday, scoring 34 points and not getting over the 43.5. But also, I mean, at least for me, I just remembered you lost yours. But for me, Donnie, easily this season, my best bet has been my touchdown score at the end of our Sunday show.
Yeah.
It is consistently my most reliable piece of action on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, touchdown. I love the touchdown market. And again, it seems like it's easier to call touchdowns for the most part this year, and they're adjusting those prices accordingly. Some good touchdowns to look at tonight. But just looking back yesterday, because I do want to spend some time on that game tonight, which I do think is massive. But across the landscape of the NFL yesterday, let's start with last night's Sunday Night Football game, Kevin. I give you the keys to the castle and say, you're going to have 5 turnovers from your quarterback alone yesterday, from a guy in Jared Goff that doesn't even throw incompletions. And you win that game on the road. Unbelievable comeback for the Detroit Lions yesterday as their defense stepped up to the plate in the second half and sort of reclaimed back like, hey, Jared, you can still make mistakes. Just make enough plays here for our kicker to make field goals. That kicker for Detroit made the long field goal. Fairbairn for Houston didn't make his long field goal. Case in point, look at that. 8 wins now for the Detroit Lions.
It is just one of those victories, Donnie, where all of the praise that Detroit will get, I'm good with.
Yeah.
For the Texans, that is about as bad of a loss as you could possibly have. 23-7 in your building. You start the second half with the football. You have to do almost nothing. And the crazy bit of it all, Donnie, is The Stroud interception that started things off in the second half didn't even matter because Goff threw it right back to them.
Yep.
CJ's second interception was the game changer because it should have been 6, and he somehow allowed Carlton Davis to undercut that football and end up with what was an easy interception. But there's so many factors, Donnie, that can lead to a comeback like that. DeMeco Ryans, everybody's favorite, because last year nobody other than me thought the Texans would be any good. So everybody heaps all the praise on DeMeco Ryans. Well, again, I know for a fact that if last night the Houston Texans were called the Philadelphia Eagles, every single show in America would be starting with how much Nick Sirianni lost that game. 3rd and 4, run the ball. This is not hard. How often do we have to talk about this? They throw it and then send Fairbairn out there for a 58-yarder. And DRS, here's the story. I know Fairbairn's good. He makes that. You know what happens? Detroit marches right down, ties the game. You lose the coin toss, and that's what it's going to look like. Come on. That is terrible.
Yeah, no, it looked 26-23. I actually was hoping for overtime yesterday, Kevin, because I just need to mix in another 4 yards. Just to have an unbelievably good night there on Sunday Night Football. Still picked up profit, and thank goodness, because let's take a look at that Sunday slate, the way it did play out. Some great football games. That Washington Steelers game lived up to the hype. It was phenomenal. It was right down to the end. The Steelers end up nipping them. Steelers next week are going to take on the Ravens. The Washington Commanders are going to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. Breaking it down, I loved what I saw out of the Steelers because I think Russell Wilson makes that offense go. But also, I don't take anything away from the Commanders as, that's a bad loss. This team is trying to learn its way to win. And quite frankly, should have won that game and let it slip away. It's just that the Steelers defense rose to the occasion in the second half and made the plays when they needed to, where you couldn't get that out of the Washington Commanders. But liked what I saw. Steelers, couple straight wins in a row. Here we go.
Another, man, it was so funny when it happened, Donnie. The 4th and 1, look, let's just see if we can draw them off sides. And Johnny Newton goes off sides, and they go, the rookie. And it's like, oh, my gosh. But what was even, what was crazy, Donnie, is, they go to the sideline, and Mike Tomlin, clear as day, right? You don't have to be an expert lip reader. Do not snap the ball. Yes. No matter what happens, do not snap the ball. And I don't know. It's one of those things, man. People could say, oh, you don't know what you would do in that situation. I'm not an NFL player. I might jump. Again, I'm not an NFL player. To jump, if you just sit there and do nothing and the Steelers have the guts to snap it and sneak it, then Mike Tomlin should be collecting Coach of the Year at the end of the play because that's amazing. But that's not what was happening. And the reason why that bothered me so much, DRS, not even because I have some Steelers hate, because I really don't, right? The Russ Field stuff is what it is.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels over the passing. I mean, we get the football back with 90 available yards. I'm getting 20 yards to get through my number, and instead they never see the field.
Yeah, it was a tough game overall, but you're right about that. In no way, shape, or form. And it was one of those things where it's kind of funny because I was home and watching it, obviously, because I'm rooting for the Steelers, maybe a Russ ticket at the end, a miracle shot, and maybe they can do it. And also from a standpoint that I was a Russ backer, love every win they get. But I was ready to pick up the phone, Kevin, I hate when NFL coaches send this stupid play out and this and that, and he jumped offside, and I sort of laughed to myself, the 1 in 1,000, which you're supposed to do because it doesn't cost you anything for the Steelers. Just see if they're dumb enough to jump off sides, and maybe a miracle they do. And it was hike. That guy was he was going to sack the quarterback. It was not even a brain fart. I jumped an inch. I got caught there. Dude was ready to bust into the backfield. He was going to blow that play up, which made me laugh at that point.
Yeah, at that point, he should have just hit Russ.
Exactly.
And you know what I mean? What if I make a cool play? That was terrible, man. I tell you, for the Steelers, though, they've created so much cushion. We know they're going to the playoffs. So a lot of the field stuff, Donnie, was, listen, he has upside. Let's see what you have in him. Neither quarterback's going to be your guy. Now that we know they are going to the playoffs, it gets really interesting to see if Russ can keep this up. Because I think for me, what Fields added as a runner, I was really interested in. But here is where I'll meet you in the middle, or maybe even come closer to your side.
Yeah.
No matter what I think Fields is capable of, Arthur Smith / Mike Tomlin do not believe that. It's a completely different playbook. Russ is allowed to do things that they didn't let Justin Fields do, and it makes them a more dynamic offense that Russ is allowed to take 4 to 5 deep shots a game that, again, Fields, we could debate whether he's capable, Donnie. They were never even calling those type of plays, it felt like, when Justin was under center.
Yeah, no, and also, I've said this before, and it's sometimes you can have a unique perspective. Now, me, again, I didn't play at the pro level, I didn't play Division I football, but I understand the logic of a passing game where you have a quarterback that throws, because I've had quarterbacks with absolutely rocket arms, Kevin. It's one speed all the time. I don't even want to warm up with this guy. And then there's players where you run that slant pass, and it's right there, it's on time, and it's like a pillow coming to you. And also, I'm going to run a 50-yard play, a 50-yard deep route. It's one-on-one coverage. How's this football going to be thrown? Oh, look at this. It's basically a punt coming down. Wide receivers love and are engaged in those type of plays. You saw a great pass to Mike Williams. George Pickens now is back up to being a top 10 wide receiver, it feels like, in the NFL, because he's re-engaged in the offense. It's fun to let it play out. And boy, they got a big game this weekend. No doubt about it. I can't even believe that game's going to be a 1 o'clocker this weekend. Ravens and Steelers. That sounds like some prime time action here. Much more to come right here. Don't go anywhere. It's Moneyline on the SportsGrid Network. It's Kevin and Donnie.
It's a choice.
Roll the dice
Or listen to us. Luck is finding a good parking spot. Strategy is getting the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Fire crews on both coasts of the U.S. continued battling wildfires Sunday, including a blaze in New York and New Jersey that killed a Parks employee and another in Southern California that destroyed more than 130 structures and damaged dozens more. Firefighters continued making progress against a wildfire northwest of Los Angeles in Ventura County that broke out Wednesday and quickly exploded in size due to dry, warm, and gusty Santa Ana winds. Meanwhile, New York State Police say they were investigating the death of 18-year-old Dario Vasquez, who died when a tree fell on him Saturday afternoon as he battled a major brush fire in Sterling Forest, located in New York State's Greenwood Lake near the New Jersey line. 12 students from Salisbury University in Maryland have been charged with a hate crime for allegedly attacking a man because of his sexual orientation on October 15th. Police believe that a group of college-age men used a social media account to lure the victim to an off-campus apartment complex where the alleged assault occurred. All 12 have been linked to a fraternity at Salisbury University.
I'm Trey Westerberg with the SportsGrid News Flash.
Every day, Cintas service reps help businesses get ready for the workday. They provide freshly laundered workwear delivered every week. Mats, mops, restroom and cleaning supplies. First aid and safety products to help your employees stay safe. They even test and inspect fire extinguishers and emergency lights. Cintas helps keep your business running smoothly. See what Cintas can do for you. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak high. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Here's some brutal truth.
You can listen to SportsGrid for strategies, odds, and more and live the good life. Or you can dig out the change from your sofa cushions.
Ooh, sticky.
We told you it was brutal. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Let's go get him, shots!
Spinning around the NFL yesterday. You got to take a look at games like the Patriots and the Bears. As you sit there on the Pro Football Today desk and I say, you know what? I don't love the handicap, but let me just play this out in my mind. Bears finally get it home. They're undefeated. The Patriots are completely impotent on offense. This is the perfect game for the Bears to get untracked. And I don't mean 28-3 victory for them. Put up some points into the 20s here. You know, hold the, Patriots offense to 7 to 10 points is what you're supposed to do. And get those good vibes back in the building after you lost them in Chicago. Never showed up in Arizona, but now you get a layup with the Patriots. The fact that they lost that football game is absolutely egregious. Maybe, and there's games out there like, hey, the Giants and the Panthers, so they were both, 2-win football teams. There's no way the Bears should have ever lost to the New England Patriots in that side. Now the honest conversation started. And you know how I like to start these, Kevin. This morning I was telling Ben, I said, Ben, everybody knows me at the network or listens in. When I make up the joke, and it's not really a joke, it's not even sarcasm, let the fans take your first-round draft pick as opposed to the general manager. They will outdraft 9 out of 10 times the overthinking general manager and front office group. Not a single if you're a Bears fan last year, would you like to bring Eberflus back in or open up one of the most enviable positions in the sport here to be Chicago's head coach with that team and that quarterback coming to town? They chose to stay with Eberflus, who has no background success on winning or being a dominant head football coach, and nobody even knew the guy's name coming out of Indy, and then say, we're going to get Shane Waldron as opposed to taking a guy like Cliff Kingsbury to open that offense up. Egregious all across the board. I love what I'm seeing right now in the fault of Chicago.
Yeah, I think it's one of those situations, Donnie, where when they brought Eberflus back, like I go back and forth with Lisi because he always blames Eberflus, and I'm like, I just wish you'd blame Waldron. But obviously they're both, complete disasters. Let's forget all that. Let's just forget all that. There is no reason the Chicago Bears should not announce today they have fired Matt Eberflus and Waldron. I mean, literally the whole team. And I don't want to hear because they'll be like, well, who's going to coach the team? I don't care. I do not care. Get them out of the room now before you destroy another can't-miss quarterback. Because that is what you are barreling towards. Unimaginably. Again, the Bears situation was super unique because they had Caleb Williams at first overall, but it was not their pick. No. That belonged to the Carolina Panthers. The Bears were not the worst team in football. I think they won, 6 or 7 games last season. The Chicago Bears then added a first-round draft choice at the wide receiver position with their own pick, and we know how valuable those guys can be, and brought in a guy like Keenan Allen to where all of a sudden now a defense that was ascending, a wide receiver room that looks like one of the 8 best in football, if not better, and this quarterback was a situation where the expectations were not too high. They were rightfully make the playoffs. That's what the expectations were. And we are sat here now where people, like Donnie, people I feel like that don't usually like to call out certain things are in disbelief of the offense in Chicago. Louis Riddick, Dan Orlovsky, Kurt Warner. What am I watching? What is this? How is this an offense? Shane Waldron may be the worst offensive coordinator than in NFL history because this is a sham going on in Chicago.
It's crazy. It's the wild part about it is because you were saying, and again, the bar has been reset by C.J. Stroud for what a rookie quarterback can come in and do, and is now being clear. I can't say clear; it's not the right word, but still being touched up now by Jaden Daniels. You had a generational quarterback come in, 3 unbelievably talented wide receivers, both veterans and young guys, a solid tight end in Cole Kmet, a decent offensive line, and a great run game, and you can't even make the football work for the past 5 to 6 games, it feels like now. It's baffling. The only thing you can blame it on is that scheme absolutely stinks, and the head coach isn't getting through to the players, and away you go in the season, which is fine. They're not going to blow up the team and say, hey, you know what? These players don't fit right. The coach will be removed, just a matter of how quickly that happens. But in season, I don't think any changes are going to get made because you remove the head coach as a defensive guy. He's not the problem. He's not calling the plays on offense. But again, it's still the defensive mentality, and the coach is going to tell not the play caller exactly what to call, but sort of slow it down here, speed it up here, take a deep shot here, run the football here. They add that input.
You know what they've run the risk of? And maybe it won't happen, but Donnie, they run the risk of that Bears job not being as enticing. It's possible, right? I mean, there's a chance that now a head coach goes, I don't know. I see some holes here in Caleb's game that I'm not as interested in. Or because you go back to last cycle, and I think the Bears job was the job, right? That was the best job you could get.
Yeah, by far.
Well, if the Cowboys job comes available, I'm not sure that no matter what, Donnie, I'm not sure you're going to beat that. Because getting the Cowboys job sets you up for life. Nobody thinks Jason Garrett was a good coach, and I get to watch him on NBC now, call Notre Dame games and do Sunday Night Football, just because he was the Dallas Cowboys coach. Yeah. Being associated at a high level with the Dallas Cowboys is a free ticket into media, life after sports. So The Dallas Cowboys, again, I know Jerry Jones may double down so much that McCarthy's going to get extended in the middle of the season. But if that job comes available, that might not be better. Both New York jobs might be available. New York is still New York, right? I mean, the Jets job is going to be available. Ulbrich maybe gets elevated. It'd be stunning, but maybe, right?
This defense
and the
stinks.
Giants job is trending towards being open as well, which all of a sudden then, Donnie, again, maybe Ben Johnson, right? And we're just going to use Ben Johnson as a top candidate, says, look, man, I could do the Caleb thing. I love Cam Ward, or give me Jalen Milroe. I can't believe the athlete that I'm seeing, or Shedeur Sanders and his polish out of Colorado. You now, Chicago, could have the fourth best job on the market when last year you were the belle of the ball.
I don't know. I think it's like even perfect. Like, remember when Urban Meyer jumps on Ohio State 1 year, they had a terrible year, and he comes in as like the savior. Like, I'll save Ohio State. Ohio State never needed saving, but just the appearance. Like, you step into this job where Chicago was supposed to light a fire this year and ends up burning themselves down. You step into that and win 9 games next year and make the playoffs. Like, you don't have to buy a meal again in the city of Chicago. But there are other, I just wanted to start with that game. It was a brutal game. No reason to even break it down. Boring as all get out. And the Patriots absolutely stone cold blasted the Bears at home where they scored 3 points, which is embarrassing. So we're going to start to shift over to some other games, and Chiefs, Broncos, the bare minimum in there. The Buffalo Bills just said, hey, Joe, throw me another interception. We don't have to do much. The Buccaneers hanging tough with the 49ers after getting lapped in yardage, but still a kicker can't make any kicks. There were some wild games yesterday, and Doug Peterson, I think he's going to resign and not get fired. He ain't going to mess around with Mac Jones. We'll be back.
Get the SportsGrid mobile app. Take us to places where the wife would definitely not approve.
Not counting the bank.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
Crowd standing now as one, exhorting the rookie on.
1981 Dodgers starter Fernando Valenzuela becomes the first MLB rookie to win a Cy Young Award.
Fernando Valenzuela, who threw 149 pitches tonight. That wasn't one for the Art Museum, but it was efficient, and he got the job done.
For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
Researchers at the University of Science and Technology of China have developed a soft robotic medical finger that can be used clinically to check your pulse, perform examinations, and even check for abnormalities under the skin. This robotic finger can even type like a human hand, spelling out words.
Goosebumps.
The goal? An intelligent, dexterous hand attached to a sensorized, artificial, pneumatic, muscle-driven robotic arm, mimicking the unparalleled functions and fine manipulations currently only possible with actual human hands. Follow me at G Capalbo on X and stay tuned to The Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Carver and Lisi.
And gutless Lincoln Riley. He is Clay Helton 2.0. His team has no heart. All they want to do is make TikToks. Where's Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush? Players that had heart. Call out your program. You're gutless. USC is absolutely atrocious. Be thankful you're playing football. Nobody's begging you. Wrap up and tackle.
It's Carver and Lisi with Mike Carver and Joe Lisi. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. On the SportsGrid Radio Network. Don't be that guy.
You know the kind.
They're superstitious, carry good luck charms, and have extravagant rituals to win. There's an easier way.
Listen to us. It means carrying 4-leaf clovers everywhere.
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Oh, right back at it. Oh, yeah, we're talking about yesterday's action in the NFL. The Jets set me back. I get one touchdown pass to Devontae Adams juiced up. Come home away at least happy at that point. I got nothing. No touchdown passes from anybody. It is what it is. It happens. The Jets dead and buried. And we were talking about this on the morning show today. Where do the Jets go from here? You have to bring Aaron Rodgers back. You're all in invested. And this team is just going to just wallow in absolute pain from this fan base as we go into the offseason and they try to hype up Aaron Rodgers again, and Aaron Rodgers goes on these social media outlets, I was banged up a little bit worse, I got to fix that, and we'll be fine. This Jets team is going to be a nightmare the rest of the way and into next year because you can't escape Aaron Rodgers' contract. He will be your quarterback. And even the joke of, Kevin, let's just say, and the Jets will win football games because you do have some talent, and eventually they'll rise up maybe at home.
Yeah.
You draft a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers is going to fight that organization saying you will not draft a quarterback, and I need like another wide receiver apparently.
Well, but isn't that how Green Bay unlocked him? Like, he was on his way out, and then he won 2 MVPs because they drafted Jordan Love. So I don't know, maybe it's the perfect recipe. I think the one saving grace here's the spin, Donnie. Because even though I think the firing of Robert Saleh was a complete disgrace and the Jets defense has never been worse since they fired him. Like, I'm trying to be polite. The idea that they wanted to get a look at Jeff Ulbrich. Okay, well, they got one. Worst thing that ever happened to Jeff Ulbrich was Robert Saleh getting fired. Because that guy will never get a head coaching opportunity now due to the fact that he apparently was given this shot here with the Jets. But maybe, Donnie, the Jets can actually get the hire right this offseason. And because nobody thought Robert Saleh was a great head coach.
Who is it? Mike McCarthy? Like, who is it? Like, when he gets fired in Dallas, they reach out and like, hey, we ran this offense before. Let's get the gang back together.
Who, Donnie, early season, right? Who are the guys that are getting hired, right? Like, are we doing Belichick and Vrabel right back into the top of the cycle? We all know Ben Johnson. Like, I don't know. I don't feel like we're hearing as many names as usual.
No, we're not. But I don't know if a strong head coach can actually go to New York. The reason I say that here is you're probably a little bit too young to remember this. Jimmy Johnson took over the Miami Dolphins with the aging Dan Marino and basically told him to go pound sand. I don't even want you here, which is sort of what you would need from a Nets check. Like, if Vrabel comes in, he's a strong-willed head coach. Hey, Aaron, I know you like to throw the football. You see Ryan Tannehill, the way he played? I need you to play that way. Well, coach, I don't run. That's fine. You can still hand off 35 times a game. We'll play really good defense, but I don't need you throwing the football 30 times. I need you throwing the football 19 times a game. You see what I mean? Like, it's going to be combative because Aaron Rodgers still understands he's under contract with a ton of money and you can't go anywhere. You got Devontae Adams. You have a high-priced defense that's not performing. Like, who actually comes in and can say, Aaron Rodgers, you're playing this game my way. The last 2 years, you did it your way, and the Jets have absolutely sucked and were embarrassing. I don't know what coach wants to step into that knowing, unless he gets, hey, Woody Johnson, I know I got Aaron Rodgers 1 year. I'm going to sit him down and be like, Aaron, you're here for 1 year, then you're gone. Do you want to play or not at this point? I don't know who's that coach.
Would Belichick want the job? Like, do you think is Bill getting a head coaching job next year?
Yes,
like
1,000%. Yeah, yes.
Like, so then, or are the Giants just going to give it to him, and we shouldn't even think twice about it?
To be honest, I think Bill Belichick, there's two MOs for him. He steps into a team that's ready-made to win, but who the hell's getting fired when they're ready-made to win and being like that championship caliber, right? He seems like the perfect, like, you know what? I got maybe 4 years left. Can I go to the Giants, get a new quarterback, and by year number 3, maybe be on the way up, but that's his job? Like, I do think Belichick and the Giants is absolutely a perfect fit because that is a rudderless organization right now with not a lot of talent and not a lot of direction.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I mean, again, because, I think Rodgers would listen to Belichick, right? Yeah, but then again, Bill ran Brady somewhat out of town.
Yes.
So to your point, he probably wouldn't really have much time for the Rodgers shenanigans. And, I think, ironically, if you brought Belichick in, I think he'd win the power struggle with Rodgers. I think Woody would then go with the new guy in terms of Bill Belichick there. And I don't know if a Bobby Slowick or a Ben Johnson, but, or who was the guy in New Orleans that everybody fell in love with after 2 weeks? Clint Kubiak, Cliff Kingsbury. But I'm saying, like, to your point, though, DRS, like, I'm not sure that works with Aaron Rodgers in the building, weirdly.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, because if you're Bobby Slowick, you're like, well, I want a young quarterback to mold, not a guy like, hey, my offense is awesome. Aaron goes, I got my offense, pal. Beat it. I mean, stop the madness. Jets, horrendous. You know what else is horrendous? Atlanta Falcons. We'll get to them next.
Oh.
Attitude is everything.
Don't say I lost today.
Say, I gained powerful insight into why I need to pay attention to SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. The Lions rallied with 19 points in the second half to beat the Texans 26-23 on Sunday. Jake Bates kicked a 52-yard field goal at the buzzer to win it as Detroit overcame 5 interceptions thrown by quarterback Jared Goff. The Lions improved to 8-1 overall, 5-0 away from home, while the Texans dropped their first game of the season at their home field. They're 6-4 with the loss. Goff finished 15 of 30 passing for 240 yards and a pair of touchdowns. It was the 7th consecutive win of the season for the Lions, who sit on top of the NFC North ahead of the Vikings. Top 25 hoops on Sunday. Number 6, Gonzaga beat Arizona State 88-80. Number 15, Creighton 96-70 winners over Fairleigh Dickinson. Number 17, Indiana beat Eastern Illinois 90-55. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Oh no, my phone.
Hear that? It's the sound of a skater dropping her phone and smashing it on the ice. Yep, it's definitely broken. But at Verizon, we got you. This holiday, trade in any phone, any condition from one of our top brands and get a new Samsung Galaxy S24 Plus on Unlimited Ultimate and Watch 7 and Tab S9 FE 5G. That's over $1,800 in value. So you'll save big on 3 great gifts. Only at Verizon. Service plan required for Watch and Tablet. Over $1,800 value based on phone, watch, and tablet. Trade in and additional terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check the propane tank on your grill first before hosting a tailgate.
Let's fire up.
Here, let me try. Seriously? You didn't check the propane? Who wants chips?
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
Salt and vinegar?
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
How many SportsGrid listeners does it take to change a light bulb?
It takes 2.
1 to change the light bulb.
And 1 to see if our mobile app can provide the same amount of light.
Get the winning edge.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Help me out, people. Moneyline people, help me out on this one. How's this work? Let me just read you some statistics. 306 for my quarterback. 116 out of my starting running back. 59 yards out of my backup running back. 97 yards out of my top wide receiver. My number 2 wide receiver clocks in at 96 yards. My tight end clocks in with 50 yards. My slot receiver clocks in with 30 yards. My tailback clocks in with 28 yards receiving. 20-13 final because why? Some kickers had epically, outrageously poor games yesterday, and the Atlanta Falcons were one of them. The Falcons rode into town at 6-3, looking to make an easy 7-3, and played maybe their worst game, special teams wise, you could possibly play yesterday, Kevin.
Yeah, that's pretty bad, man. They missed 3 field goals in the game, and the New Orleans Saints were able to get out to a little bit of a hot start and try and play keep away, if you will. MVS with 2 touchdowns in the first half, which was, who knew MVS was on the New Orleans Saints?
Correct.
Nobody is the correct answer to that.
3 targets, 3 catches, 2 touchdowns, 109, Kevin. That's outrageous.
Like, I'm not going to sit here, Donnie, like the game reads Atlanta should have won it, right? I'm not going to pretend that isn't the case, but this is why I've continued to – it's why preseason I faded Atlanta with the Saints ticket, and it's why I've wondered if Tampa Bay could get a break to go their way. Could they still challenge the Falcons? But the Saints fell apart, and it looks like Tampa's going to suffer the same fate. Tampa Bay plays as close as you can 2 weeks in a row against the Kansas City Chiefs and the 49ers, and all they have to show for it is an MCL injury to Tristan Wirfs. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is. By the way, you look at which we're going to get to, there's no real handicap or anything on that Atlanta game, just how poorly they played in the spot where they could have really solidified themselves. But now you're right, Tampa Bay, 4 straight losses. Played tough yesterday, outgained all across the board, still chances late, weren't able to get it done, and it's a shame because that's back-to-back weeks. We had legitimate chances to take down a Super Bowl champion based on the odds and weren't able to do it.
Yeah.
But they will beat the Giants, they will beat the Panthers, and they will beat the Raiders. But maybe it's too far too gone. The Chargers, that's going to be a tough game later in the season, maybe get Mike Evans back at that point. The Cowboys, maybe having Dak back, could be maybe December 22nd.
No.
But then you have the Saints.
He's not playing again, is he?
I don't know. He's not going on IR.
I thought he was
which is
just going to have season-ending surgery.
That's
Like,
what
I
he's
don't
supposed to do.
understand.
They said he's getting on a plane to get another look, as if like the Cowboys have any chance of doing anything this season, which is wild. But you do look at that Tampa schedule, though. That's three. Let's just say you automatic loss to the Chargers, which again they'll probably play tough in that game, and Panthers Saints to end the season. Like you have maybe the best schedule to end the season that you could possibly have, but they just can't win these close games, which is pretty crazy.
You just got to But if that's what the hope is, Mike Evans supposed to come back. They're hitting the bye at the right time. It's not the right time. They needed to hit the bye like a week or two ago, but they've hit the bye, right? So they can kind of, pull their head up from there and go from there. But man, let me tell you, for San Fran, Donnie, do you give that team, do you give that team, you won. If your kicker was solid, you win by more? Or
yes.
I feel like the Niners keep telling us, Donnie, they're not anywhere near as good as last year's group.
No, they're not.
And it's going to take people forever to admit it.
And they're not. And again, you saw McCaffrey come back. You want to give him a couple more weeks. Played a lot of snaps yesterday. Did he look as electric as before? No. But what did you anticipate? Now, they got games against the Seahawks, the Packers, the Bills. Maybe the Bears might get it right. The Rams, who've already beaten them, at the Dolphins, who knows what they'll be. And then the end of the season with the Lions, who are probably fighting for the top overall seed in the NFC. And then the Cardinals fighting for a playoff spot to end that season. No, I'm not. I haven't been that impressed. But yes, it is a little bit different when you just read the storyline, per se, of the game where they just needed to make some field goals. They look good on offense. Brock Purdy had a Brock Purdy game for you. MVP Purdy, 352 touchdowns, and really moved the football. But the impressive wins that we used to see from the 49ers aren't there right now for me, which then feeds into how good are they actually. Odds makers still think they're world beaters, but who knows?
Yeah, they're not world beaters. I'm still annoyed that the Eagles have the same odds as them. I'm even more annoyed at the gap between Philly and Detroit.
Yeah,
because again, Donnie, I understand like what you think of Detroit, but what more do the Eagles have to do? Like, I don't really understand what more the Eagles have to do to get that. I guess they have to win, but win Thursday, Donnie. Like, is that then?
Yeah, they lose,
but is that where it changes?
It's one of those games for me Thursday night that it's going to be a great game, but my expectation is the Eagles win that game. There's not like it's going to be it's going to be a good game. I understand that. I would be shocked if the Eagles lost that game. That's how much better I think the Eagles are than what I thought they were just a few weeks ago. Yes, the shame of it all, as we talked about it real quick, is the Eagles being a 7.5-point favorite. And I couldn't take them. And I said, boy, I'm going to be real disappointed at the end of the game, Kevin, when everybody's healthy for this game and plays all the way through. Case in point, 34-6 win. It's a shame because if I had no thoughts that Jalen Hurts had a bad ankle, if I had no thoughts that the week previous before A.J. Brown didn't leave the game, and I didn't have Devontae missing practices because he's trying to manage some hamstring leg injury, and Dallas Goedert coming back, we would have been all over that team. We would have hammered it. But I couldn't do it yesterday, and there they are, 34-6.
Yeah, but like you said, with some of those injuries, I also didn't think the defense would keep playing like that in that spot. I really didn't. Not that they weren't capable of it, but I figured that the Cowboys would show a little bit of life. I mean, CeeDee Lamb dropping touchdown passes because he can't see, and grief, man. I mean, Jerry's blaming the team because they don't know what side to choose, and then CeeDee Lamb is blaming the stadium. It feels like one of these situations where if they didn't pay Dak and Lamb, they'd both just be like requesting trades or whatever it might be. Like the Jerry stuff is just getting worse and worse and worse. But who cares about them? The Eagles game Thursday, I think that they are in a situation where if they win Thursday, they will officially then get all of the national recognition they deserve. But if they lose that game, it will be concerning. And I will then have to change my perception of Philadelphia. Not that Washington's bad, but if the Eagles are as good as I believe they are, they win that game. At home, Thursday night, playing great football, should be healthy, they win that game.
We're going to talk Monday Night Football next year, but I just want to start with this point here. Jerry Jones is so far off his rocker, it almost doesn't make sense anymore. Because we talked about this a lot, and I was screaming on the early line because for once, the reporters were so good yesterday. And Jerry Jones getting on the topic like the Sun. What do you want me to do? Tear the stadium down and start it over? Like, no, you could have just built the stadium like every other stadium, which goes, north to south, not east to west. Let's start there. But also, You do have curtains that you put up for concerts. You can easily do that for the football game, but it's not like aesthetically pleasing to him. Then he goes on to say, we know where the sun is a year ahead of time. It's not our fault. When we flip the coin, like we know when the sun is going to be there. Kevin, the reporter, hit the most banger question in the history of the sport that then said, so Mike McCarthy didn't call the right plays in the red zone because of the sun, which hit like a freaking grenade, which I thought was hilarious because then he started to get more like spiteful at that point. But it is something, and the tweets on there, which they come up every year with the sun, it's the stupidest thing in sports here. But the one guy goes, I wonder if Jerry's owner's box was in the sun the entire time where they couldn't see the game, would they put up curtains? You know they would. But the fact that Jerry sits on the sideline is like, ooh, isn't it a nice aesthetic where like the sun comes through those windows during the game? Meanwhile, it's costing his team touchdowns, and there's no reason for it to happen.
Yeah, I mean, that, again, I feel like we've spent like 5 years blaming all of the Cowboy stuff on Jerry, and it's like never really been his fault. And now he's like, you know what? I'm going to show them. I think one of my favorite possible outcomes is that he is going to get backed into a corner that he decides Mike McCarthy has to stay. Yes. Where they keep asking him, hey, you going to fire Mike? And he's like, I'll tell you this right now. I'll never fire Mike McCarthy. Yeah. All right. In fact, he's the new owner of this football team.
Yeah.
Also, I know you want to do. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, or I'm going to knock down the one side of the stadium so the sun can blind everybody in here to show you how great that sunlight is at this stadium here. By the way, it's a retractable roof. Open the damn roof once in a while, then, Jerry, if you want aesthetics in that building. What did you waste your money for? We're up next year. We're going to keep it going. It's not even heaven.
It's a harsh world out there.
Get the SportsGrid mobile app and take all that sweet, sweet winning edge with you.
Download today.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. Shop Chuck Sanders. AP Top 25 football. Oregon stays put at number 1 as the Big Ten takes 4 of the top 5 spots in this week's poll. Meanwhile, Georgia and Miami slip out of the top 10. For the Ducks, it's their 4th consecutive week at number 1. No team this season has held the top spot for more consecutive weeks than the Ducks. Ohio State up 1 spot to number 2. Texas jumps 2 spots to number 3. Penn State number 4. Indiana at number 5. Tennessee in at number 6. BYU up 2 spots to number 7. Notre Dame jumped 2 spots to number 8. Alabama up 2 spots to number 9, while Ole Miss jumped 6 spots to number 10. Georgia dropped 9 spots to number 11 this week, with Miami dropping 8 spots to number 12. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
I feel like I'm constantly cleaning hair off my bathroom floor. At least my Swiffer Sweeper makes it easy. Sweeper heavy-duty dry cloths have ultra-thick pads to trap and lock hairs, like a hair magnet. And when I'm finished cleaning up my hair, Sweeper takes care of his too. Now the hair's gone, all thanks to Swiffer. Try Swiffer Sweeper heavy-duty dry cloths. I promise you'll love them or your money back. And also try Swiffer Sweeper Wet to make quick work of tough, sticky messes.
Not sure how much you know about Progressive Insurance. You may know us for insuring your home and auto. You may know a couple of our commercials. But what you may not know is that since 2013, Progressive has been honoring veterans with vehicle donations through the annual Keys to Progress Veteran Vehicle Giveaway Program, giving back to those who gave so much. Now, you probably didn't wake up today saying, I really wish I knew more about Progressive Insurance, but this seemed like the type of thing people wouldn't mind hearing about. Find out more about how we're dedicated to our customers and communities at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
There once was a dude named Sid. He never won and felt disgusted. He got the winning edge, his friends would allege, all for just listening to SportsGrid. If Sid can do it,
so can you.
Get the winning edge.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The bare minimum, Kevin. You know you have hashtags on Twitter, and it's like, hey, yes. Chiefs Kingdom, Fly Eagles Fly, hashtag bare minimum. That's the Chiefs. When you type that in, it goes right to the Chiefs website, because that's all they do. Now, yesterday, I had a free bet yesterday. I ended up losing. And thank goodness it was 2 of the 3 legs that lost, so I don't get too upset. I needed the Chiefs to get to 20 points yesterday. They're inside the 5-yard line late in that football game. It's 14-13 Broncos. So I said, this is going to set up perfect. I want to see what Andy Reid does. And, of course, Kevin, He does exactly what coaches always do when everybody knows the difference. It's 3rd and goal from like the 2-yard line. Hand the football off. You might get 1 yard. You might get a half yard. You might get nothing. You might lose 2 yards. Then you kick the field goal. I was surprised they did that because they kicked that. I go, this is going to be really interesting. Now, granted, why they kicked the field goal? Oh, Patrick Mahomes, 5 yards away from Travis Kelce, wide open in the end zone, airmails it. Never seen anything in my life like Patrick Mahomes doing that, but he did. And then you see that drive by the Broncos shaping up the perfect drive because if we talk about the words threading the needle, you give the Chiefs 7 seconds and no timeouts, they'll go 62 yards in 6 plays and kick a field goal. It like doesn't make sense, but that's what they do. They had everything lined up perfect and a short field goal. Watching it live, and I was ready to tweet out, like, this team finally lost. They blocked that field goal, and you know what? Usually it's like, oh, my God, I can't believe that happened. I went, yeah, that sounds right. Chiefs win again.
Yeah, no, that's kind of the thing, right? It's like, of course they blocked it, right?
Yes.
Of course they blocked it. They wouldn't have blocked it had it been for a tie because they would have just gone to overtime, won the toss. It is one of those things where, again, they are incredibly unlikable to me. But let's just remove that, okay? Yesterday, I bet Pat Mahomes over the 1.5 passing touchdowns.
Oh.
Pat Mahomes.
Oh, that would have hit it
played,
so late.
He played this unreal, 3rd down only game against Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is. I know he can still turn it on from time to time. He has wildly regressed. Talked about this with someone the other day, and they mentioned it, and the more I think on it, they're right. Donnie, there is no reason for Patrick Mahomes to look like this. Unless Andy Reid's lost a step, unless they miss Eric Bieniemy, which nobody talks about, by the way, because Eric left, and the offense hasn't looked the same. Unless it's Matt Nagy's fault. Okay, Travis Kelce yesterday was wide open in the back of the end zone.
Yes, he was.
Mahomes hit a fan. Samaje Perine was going to walk in on a screen. Mahomes found a Bronco. He is, again, it's not, the league's figured what out. Because that's not good. Because Lamar's having the best season of his career. Jaden Daniels has taken the league by storm. Jalen Hurts is looking like money. Joe Burrow's lighting teams on fire. Josh Allen is out there. I'm pretty sure DRS strapped up and played a little wide receiver in that game against the Colts. And he's getting a job done, even though he's back to throwing interceptions. There is no excuse for the consensus best player on earth and a unanimous top 5 player in the history of his position in his prime to look like this. There's none.
Yeah, and they still won yesterday. 1 touchdown pass, no interceptions. They got 57 yards total on the ground, 3 yards per carry. Still ended up winning that football game, which is, again, a miracle. They won't go undefeated in the regular season, but that's not the issue. The issue is once you get to the playoffs, they are going to be home for the holidays, and that's why it's going to be so tough to beat that team. But the bare minimum, now next week, Kevin, they do go up against the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. We'll see if the Buffalo Bills have any wide receivers remaining, right?
Mahomes will play the best game of his season. He'll play the best game of his season, and he'll be the MVP favorite at the end of it because that's what it is. Speaking of the Bills, truly, the Joe Flacco thing is one of the wildest things I think I've ever seen because I cannot stress this enough. I couldn't have disagreed more with the move, but it's not because I thought Flacco would be terrible. So I am not here to victory lap or put in anyone's face that Flacco has been terrible because I didn't see this coming. But he has been atrocious. He has been the main reason they have now lost 2 games in a row and settled in, Donnie, as a team that I don't believe has any chance to make the playoffs. And Shane Steichen is saying we're going to continue to give him a lot of time. Come on.
Yes, yeah, but now I think you can start to come over to my side because it wasn't so much about you're just playing bad on the field, Kevin. I do believe there is a systematic change they're trying to make with Anthony Richardson about how he is as a professional. I honestly believe that was a major part where you're not forget about losing the locker room. Like, kid, this isn't the way you're going to be a pro. You can't just skate by on your talent. You actually have to sink into your playbook and understand what you're looking for, as opposed to saying, for all my life, I've always been better. Doesn't matter what the defense is doing, what they're playing. my arm is a rocket and I can run faster than everybody and I'll run them over. I do think that's coming into it. They take the Jets. How about the Jets Colts? 2 ancient quarterbacks going to line up and Aaron Rodgers. By the way, we taking them next week? Who are we doing? Is that Taylor? I think Taylor goes for like $175 against the Jets and breaks their back. How about that game next week?
He probably goes off, but with the Jets being home for that football game, they should win it. Flacco throw a couple interceptions, and that'll be that. I'll tell you this. I'm open to it. Either this was Jim Irsay's decision because he's nuts, or it was Shane Steichen's decision because he wasn't going to let Anthony Richardson go out there against these defenses and was just going to let Flacco get his head beat in by the best teams in football. And then Richardson because they have a really late bye, and then Richardson just gets to play the AFC South to finish off his season.
Probably. That's probably the way it's going to turn out. Let's flip the script here to Monday Night Football, Kev. Let me ask you, confidence level, I should say. I was going to say concern level. Tyreek Hill tonight, confidence level. What do you got?
It's a wrist. So if he doesn't play, right?
Hasn't practiced this week.
Like that to me, like if he doesn't play, that means like he would be completely incapable of catching a football. Like it's like when it's an ankle or something like that, like it's a wrist, like he can do all his normal movement. So it's a weird situation where it's like, if he practices, like you're probably then putting the wrist at risk. But it feels like there's something, Donnie, that could be at risk all night.
Yes, correct. And it's one of those things where I almost have to wait till pregame warm-ups to say, Tyreek's out here, doesn't look like anything's an issue. And then I think he has a good night. But boy, if you're betting on him tonight to catch footballs he can't catch, but it's just out there, that's terrible. We've all been there before. Let's avoid that. We'll talk about it more next.
SportsGrid is committed to bringing you sports gaming strategies and information 24/7.
We're not doing this for our health.
This is our job. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The new SportsGrid app is now available on iOS and the App Store. Experience the ultimate sports betting companion that provides personalized content from your favorite hosts. In-depth matchup previews, game and prop picks, live odds, stats, scores, and more. All in one place. And of course, on the SportsGrid app, you can tune into our live television and radio coverage anytime. On the go, wherever you are. Download the SportsGrid app on the iOS App Store now. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. SportsGrid TV and radio networks are the premier streaming video and audio channels dedicated to serving the sports wagering audience. Found on major smart TV platforms and streaming on SportsGrid Radio and SiriusXM Channel 159. SportsGrid's real-time data, expert commentary, and entertaining analysis transform viewers into informed sports enthusiasts. Our weekday radio lineup begins with the early line at 8 a.m. Eastern with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Donnie joins Kevin Walsh on Moneyline at 11 a.m. Eastern, followed by Football Full Circle at noon Eastern. Kaplan and crew join the party at 1 p.m. Eastern. And Pharrell Coast to Coast keeps things rolling from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Get in the mix with Kevin Walsh and Game Time Decisions at 6 p.m. Eastern. Evenings simmer with Carver and Lisi. Then boils over with Gabe Moritzi on Sports Rage Late Night at 10 p.m. Eastern. To find out where to find SportsGrid that's best for you, go to sportsgrid.com. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Carver and Lisi.
You can have all the burner accounts that you and everybody likes to do. You can tweet me at Lisi, you suck. The other thing, we're going to kick you in the stones. Guess what? I'm taking Michigan. Not you, me. Listen, look at my lips. Michigan. I'm taking the Wolverines.
It's Carver and Lisi with Mike Carver and Joe Lisi. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific, on the SportsGrid Radio Network.
We're here 7 days a week,
giving you the actionable insights and expert perspectives you need to win.
And here's more good news.
It's free. So stay tuned and get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Oh, we're building out SGPs tonight, no doubt about it. You can guarantee that tonight. I'm trying to find out who the linchpin is. Because you know, Kevin, sometimes I just start with the quarterbacks, like a touchdown apiece, sort of dumb it down. There's no question about that. They're both throwing it. But the question to me is, I think Matthew Stafford has a chance to have a big night tonight. 275 plus, 2 touchdown passes. Ooh. The problem, though, is 67.5 for Puka, 65.5 for Cup. You might say, what's the problem there? They're both going to have big nights. Yes. But who has the bigger night? Like, who's the anchor man at wideout? Because we've all been there before. Hey, Tyreek and Waddle. Like, you know what? Waddle's a little bit less. Let me take the discount. Where the hell is Waddle at is even playing in this game? I don't think that's obviously going to be the case between Cup and Nakua. They'll get theirs. But is there one guy that you say, man, brick by brick, this guy's the guy you got to start with, Nakua or Cup?
No, I don't. I think if you told me everybody was good, normal, clean bills of health, I do believe Puka Nakua somehow has incredibly found himself as their number one option.
I agree.
I don't trust it. I think for me tonight, Donnie, we have rock star quarterbacks prop-wise. That's where my trust will be. Yesterday,
200, 1-1?
That's exactly what I did in the Sunday Nighter DRS, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That is exactly what I'm going to look to do again here tonight if I can. I don't know what all the odds boosts are. I haven't, locked into everything just yet, but that's going to be the scenario that I'm looking for here. Because, Donnie, if it's not Tyreek and it's Waddle, I'm eating. If it's Puka instead of Cup, I'm eating, right? Yeah. I'm curious in the running back room, though. Kyron Williams, Devon Achane, you got good options there.
Like, I haven't decided where, because I like to do this sometimes, Kevin. One time I'll do not one time, I should say. I've done this multiple times. Sometimes, like, all right, let me take a Dolphin-centric SGP, Ram-centric SGP, or you just combine the wideouts on one, the running backs on the other. Like, I'm going to have to, the one thing I like about this is I told everybody last Thursday night, maybe the most fun football game we might get, it just has to go according to plan. So much fun watching that Ravens game. It was awesome. It was everything you could want. Like, we're not coming into this game like, we're going to see next week, like the Dallas Cowboys. Like, well, I guess I got to take C.J. Stroud in every Houston prop because I can't take anybody in the Cowboys. You have home run shots on both sides. As you said, rock star quarterback on turf on both sides. Yeah. No weather conditions to worry about. Wide receivers that can let it fly and, depending on Tyreek Hill, could be healthy tonight. Running backs on both sides. You're not questioning, like, hey, man, where's Kyron Williams not getting the football? We don't have any of that tonight, which is awesome. You just have to make sure you pick it correctly here and see the way it plays out. But I do know, like, if you say, Donnie, one player, if Tyreek's healthy, I like 2 touchdown passes for Tua, but I really think Matthew Stafford, for me tonight, has a lot of juice. I really do think that.
Yeah, I think that Kyron Williams is maybe the most underrated, consistent player in football.
Yes.
I mean,
great.
He's just been money since he's taken over in that. Donnie, remember when he was going to return punts and people thought that Blake Corum was going to get the job? I mean, that madness.
And by the end of the year, he's a starter. You never know.
Short to intermediate receiving game. Didn't see a target. Didn't. I don't think ran around.
He played, but I didn't play.
Yeah, oh, that's right. Yeah, like what? Yeah, didn't even
get in the game.
Yeah, it was snap. It was a snap target bet.
You ever get that dinner, by the way, or no?
No, I did not. That's okay. Well, you know what? Also, probably, right? Like over time, it all evens up and works out. Yeah.
At least he's like behind the scenes listening right now. We need new bagels in the place, man. I'm telling Kev, I had a brick on my way home that I couldn't. You know me, I'm starving it. I usually start my window at 11 a.m. I can't on Sundays. It starts at 1. So I really look forward to that bagel on the ride home. I couldn't even eat half of it. I'm like, where was this from? Like last week? Like, I love Joe, and he takes care of us all the time. That's just what, like, that pet peeve. He's killing me right now. He really is.
I shouldn't pile on. But Donnie, delayed leaving because I was like, you know what? I'm a little hungry myself. Let me eat this bagel. I toasted it even. Wow. And sometimes when you eat food that's not necessarily, healthy for you, right?
Yes.
But the saving grace is it's delicious. There is no worse feeling than when it's terrible, and it was an atrocious bagel. I don't know. Joe didn't make it, so I don't blame him, but that store's got to get axed because they're handing him Donnie yesterday's bagels.
Yes, I said 2 weeks ago, I was like, Joe, is this a real bagel shop you're getting these from? Because this doesn't taste like a regular bagel shop would make bagels. Absolutely. But yesterday, because they were edible the past couple weeks. I got in my car.
No.
Yes, the minute I made a left at a Bellworks and took my first bite, I'm like, this is bad. Am I gonna have to stop somewhere just to get something to eat? And I was just so disappointed because I look forward to that bagel on the ride home. We need new bagels, Joe. I know you're listening, Lacey. New bagels or don't come in. Don't come in next Sunday. That'll do it for the show. JP on the wheels of steel, Donnie and Kevin. We're out of here on Moneyline. See you tomorrow.
Just to clarify, we're not saying the winning edge will help you win the lottery.
But if it ever does, aren't you